Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of 310 to Left, presented by New England Ford Dealers and F-Series, America's best-selling truck. For 48 years in the official truck of the Boston Red Sox, Tom Caron here in Boston, Alex Speier here in New York, or there in New York. And it all comes down to this. One game for all the marbles. A best-of-3 series has come down to Game 3. Alex Speier, the Red Sox win Game 1. Yankees win Game 2. Both one-run games, both with more drama than most baseball games. This, however it ends tonight, this has been a terrific baseball series between two rivals.
It's been hard to go to the bathroom, right? Like, that's how good this series has been. You don't want to miss anything that's going to happen because the balance has been, like, every plate appearance has had the game in the balance. There have been 145 plate appearances through the first two games. Of those, the tying or go-ahead run was represented either by someone on base or someone at the plate in 136 of those. That's 94% of the time that the game has been in the balance. It's been a wonderful series. It's had weirdness. It's had those kind of intricate little plays, moments that are successfully and wildly unsuccessfully executed, on which games have hinged. So it's been fantastic theater. I am here for this.
It's been, edge of your seat stuff, no doubt about it. We all believed, or at least most of us did, that Brayan Bello was on a short leash. But did anyone expect that leash to be 11 batters long? How shocked were you when Alex Cora came out and took Brayan Bello out of the game with one out in the third inning in Game 2?
I was pretty shocked. I mean, I thought maybe two times through the order. I wouldn't have been shocked if the move was made in the fourth inning. I think that they were willing to squeeze, an extra maybe six batters out of the bullpen than I had anticipated. So it was absolutely a wild. Oh, let's start doing the math and figuring out exactly how much they can get from everyone. Wait a second, Chapman isn't going to be available for more than one inning at the end. So how far are you going to push on Whitlock? I did find it surprising, but it was also the case that you could see that the Yankees left-handed hitters were taking really good swings against Bello. He had already given up, obviously, the homer to Ben Rice, and he had lefties, I believe, at that point were 3 for 6 with that homer and a walk against him. There hadn't been a lot of swing and miss, so you understood what they were trying to accomplish by going to Justin Wilson in that pocket.
But you said it. The extra 3 or 6 batters they could have tried to get out of Bello would have meant they didn't need to try to get 6 batters out or 6 outs from Garrett Whitlock, which ultimately they were not able to do. The 2-out walk, the base hit that brings in the go-ahead run. And if Jarren Duran makes that catch earlier, then you don't need that. It does play out differently. And, in the end, Jim Rice talked about this a lot in the postgame show last night. My wires are all verklempt. I apologize. They're fired up for this too. But in the end, the sloppiness that plagued this team, they're not errors. There were no errors in the game last night, though you could argue that the Duran play could have been an error. But just sloppy fundamentals haunted the Red Sox last night. Duran's inability to make that catch. Rafaela's inability to drop down the bunt. I'm not sure the Eaton hold at third goes into that same category, but a guy's a burner. We've seen him. You saw him score on a ground ball out to second base for a walk-off win. He's held by Kyle Hudson, and that's a question we'll debate if they lose Game 3. It's just in games like this, in these nail-biting playoff games, inability to execute fundamentals on one play can absolutely dictate the outcome, and I think it did in Game 2.
Yeah, with that Eaton play, there was a little resonance of the 1975 World Series and the no versus go at third base question, right? Like that is the Red Sox have been able to thrive when they push the envelope because that's kind of what they have to do, right? Trevor Story used the word scrappy in order to describe the offense, and that's because they don't have a huge amount of firepower. And so you do have to be kind of risk embracing in order to be able to take advantage of those little moments in the game. Great, a huge amount of credit to Jazz Chisholm for getting to that ball on the Yoshida pinch hit single and being able to keep it in the infield, thus forcing a decision. It was a little bit, I think in the moment, a little bit surprising to see the Red Sox not pushing the envelope after that had been part of what allowed them to win game one, when you saw Nick Sogard on multiple occasions taking that extra base against the Yankees and having that super aggressive mindset. Eaton, of course, is not only one of the fastest Red Sox, I believe he has the fifth fastest sprint speed in all of Major League Baseball this season, which is pretty wild to consider. And so, yes, that seemed like a moment where you looked at it and you said, oh, that's one that they might regret. But yes, and then, of course, as you point out, the Rafaela missed punt, that's a big one. You have to be able to execute flawlessly when you are a scrappy team.
You were there. You are there. You were in the clubhouse last night after the game. We watch clips. We watch interviews. We listen to sound. We try to read body language. It seemed like a relatively tense clubhouse, which you haven't seen a lot of after games this year. Duran, while in a lot of ways, some of the questions are extending him the lifeline to sort of give himself some grace and move on. He wasn't doing it yet. And I'm sure he's processed it. And, players don't leave the clubhouse till they've done that. But at the moment when we heard from Duran last night, he was beating himself up over that play. Whitlock, pretty down on himself after that.
Yeah, I mean, I was just playing pretty deep on Judge. And as I was coming in, I thought it was hit a little harder than it was. And then I kind of gained more ground than I thought. I didn't really have to go into a full dive there and kind of just pushed the ball on myself a little more and kind of got really up on me. But, it's on me.
How much is that, though? Jared, you bounce back and things like this all the time. Just kind of baseball and put it behind you, move on, and get ready for game 3.
Yeah, I mean, this one's going to sting a little bit. I mean, I know that game is 100% on me. If I make that play, Trevor hits the homer, we take the lead. But, I messed it up, gave them momentum, and then, things just happen from there. But, that one's on me. I'm going to have to wear that one.
Well, how confident are you that you guys bounce back as a group? Game 3, you guys have been here all year long battling. Just your thoughts on the mentality of what you guys will do in that game 3.
Yeah, I mean, I have complete confidence in this team. I mean, we've been through stuff like this before, and we've been resilient all year, so I'm excited to see what we can do tomorrow.
What can you do individually to turn the page?
I don't know. I'll think about it tonight and just kind of get over it.
How much you look forward to just getting back out there tomorrow?
Yeah, I mean, I'm excited to play tomorrow and redeem myself.
How big is it when Trevor immediately homers there and it's a new ball game at that point?
Yeah, I mean, that's a good feeling, but deep down I know that we could have had the lead right there, so that one stings a little bit, and I can already feel it, and just disappointed. That one's on me.
What have you seen from Connelly Early here in this clubhouse so far, and how confident are you in him taking the ball in game 3?
I mean, he reminds me a lot of Roman. I mean, they're so young, but they're so calm, cool, and collective, and it's awesome to see that. I can't wait to see him get on the mound tomorrow and see that big smile he always has when he's competing.
But Jarren Duran needed a big smile last night, and he wasn't ready for it. And Brian Bayo, when he spoke, just still sort of saying, I believed in my stuff. I thought my stuff was good. Clearly, he was shocked by the decision. That was just, you talk about the inexperience of a team going into the playoff series. And last night, that clubhouse sounded like an inexperienced playoff group. Like they've got to come to terms, and you don't have a whole lot of time to do it because game 3 is tonight.
Right. The magnitude of the individual loss is just very different than it is during the regular season. And so the consequence of losing one game is that if you lose another, your season is done. Right? There's no 162 that reframes the way that you approach things. The it's baseball conversation is not a thing. It is, this single mistake has a chance to be the end of our season, or this single bad performance, or this single moment of fatigue. And, adding to that, right, there's also the physical stress of these games because the intensity of them is heightened in a way that it does take a different kind of physical toll from players in the postseason than it does during the regular season. Certainly, the fact that Whitlock was pushed as far as he was, more pitches than he had thrown in any game this season, meant that he was in a different state of physical fatigue probably than he's experienced at any point this year. And so, you have that. And so when you have that kind of physical fatigue, of course, there's also an emotionally downtrodden feeling that you have coming out of that. And so I think we saw that. But like Duran, for instance, right? Like in the postgame clubhouses during the season, we would see him like he would make eye contact when he was being asked questions. This was eyes down, processing, trying to mull over and navigate what had just happened. And that was harder than it normally is.
Yeah, the question that the answer to the question that sort of got to me when he was asked about Trevor Story's home run. Again, here's a moment to remember a high point of the night. He was like, "Yeah, all I could think about is that would have given us the lead." It's just beating himself up. And again, he's been through this. He'll bounce back from this. But the question is, how does it manifest itself tonight, right? If there is I think Steve Buckley called them gaffes in his column today, gaffes versus errors. If there's a gaffe early on tonight in Game 3, does that, snowball and get away from this team? It's a really intriguing matchup tonight and we're going to get to the pitching part of it because whoever would have predicted two guys who were in Double-A in May are pitching for their team's futures. But just watching how the Red Sox handle things tonight. Did Rafaela ever talk to the media last night, Alex?
We did not talk to him, at least not while I was in the clubhouse.
Is that surprising?
I think that there was slightly, maybe, but I don't think that. I think that there was so much going on that you're kind of pulled in a few different directions in the clubhouse. I'm not sure if I would characterize it as hugely surprising.
I ran out of time this morning, and we're live here, so I didn't have extra time, as you can see, as I'm sort of getting my wiring together live on the air. I started to think this through on my morning dog walk, not to be confused with Lou Merloni's rants over his walking the dog. But I was trying to remember, excluding the wild card game in 2021, which was a one-game winner-take-all. The last time they got to a winner-take-all game, is that 2008?
The Red Sox at all?
Yeah.
Yes, 2008 would be the last instance of it. Yes. Yep, that's correct.
A one-game winner-take-all. That's a long time. I mean, that's
generations. Jason Varitek were there, but yes,
right.
That is a baseball lifetime ago. Yeah, 100%.
A baseball, maybe two lifetimes, right? I mean, it's these don't happen often. You think, well, that's fine, but there is a different amount of pressure than anything these guys have felt before. You feel pressure in a playoff game. You feel pressure in a clinching game, right? There was pressure last night to get it done, but you had a backstop. You had Game 3 in the background. Now, not only do I even think it's different when you're down in a series fighting to stay alive, because then you're just sort of fighting to stay alive. But this swings both ways, right? This is going to be something that is going to kind of mold, I think, the future of some of these young players. What happens tonight?
I don't know about mold the future, but it is going to be experience that contributes a lot to what their development cycle consists of, right? Like you think about the Red Sox cycle of 2016, 2017, 2018, where they had to kind of learn what it meant to be able to push the competitive envelope, to be able to overcome getting swept in 3 games by Cleveland in 2016, and then extending it to 4 games against Houston in 2017, and then finally understanding and having the firepower as well to be able to get over the hump in 2018. So these are learning moments and stepping stones that can influence a collective developmental arc. I do think that you're 100% right, Tom, that it's a different beast to be in a win or go home, in an everything on the line situation, and whether or not, they've been wearing these pressure as a privilege t-shirts around throughout the season. Well, then enjoy the privilege. Here's pressure.
They are privileged indeed tonight. And a guy making his 5th major league start gets to take the ball to begin it all. Let's talk about that. JP Ricciardi, former general manager, going to join us next when we come back. It's a live edition, an emergency live edition, pre-Game 3, winner take all in New York tonight. Even if you couldn't buy tickets through Ticketmaster because you live in New England, we've got you covered. And JP Ricciardi joins us when we come back on 310 to Left, presented by your New England Ford dealers. 310 to Left is presented by your New England Ford dealers, who've been taking everyone out to the ball game at Fenway Park for decades. Catch Ford next time you're at Fenway, including in the Ford Clubhouse, a full-service bar perfect for bringing your lineup together and for recording our live edition of 310 to Left. It's all brought to you by your New England Ford dealers and F-Series, America's best-selling trucks for 48 years and the official truck of the Boston Red Sox. Game 3 of the American League Wild Card Series, Portland Sea Dogs ace Connelly Early will be making the start. Well, the Sea Dogs getting it on. Never too early for your first postseason start. JP Ricciardi joins us. How did we get here? Connelly Early against Cam Schlittler for the win of the American League Wild Card Series.
I guess you'd have to look at it this way. Where would they be if they didn't have these guys? Who would be starting these games? So I think it's a blessing in one way, but I think you have to look at Schlitter maybe having the advantage because he's got more starts at the big league level. He's pitching at home. I don't think a lot's going to phase Early because I think he just has that toughness to him. But it's Yankee Stadium. It's on the road. The place is going to be raucous, and it's not the easiest environment to pitch in.
Alex, I think Opta Stats was the first place I saw it. The first pitcher ever to make a winner-take-all start within 30 days of his major league debut.
Unbelievable, right? Like it was, there was a question last month in September about whether or not Connelly Early was going to get called up in order to be able to make his major league debut this year. And this year, he's not only in the big league, this day, he's not only in the big leagues, but he's making the start with the Red Sox season on the line. It is pretty wild, although I will say this, it's also very interesting to roll back to the trade deadline when some of the thinking that informed the calculus of the Red Sox in terms of how much are we willing to spend on a rental pitcher, when they were pushing for Joe Ryan, obviously he was kind of a one-off in terms of where they wanted to go. But then in terms of examining the rental market and thinking about, okay, what are we willing to give up for a Merrill Kelly or a Dustin May, right? Or a Chris Paddock, like the guys who are the very mediocre pitchers who were in the rental market. Part of their thinking was informed by what do we have in Peyton Tolley? What do we have in Connelly Early? Do we have someone internally who we would be just as excited about? They were willing to roll the dice. And so here it is. Now you get to find out if that's snake eyes or sevens.
But everything you said also factors into why they traded away Quinn Priester. Right, like they thought Quinn Priester was part of that group and that they had enough redundancy in that group. Well, after a couple of injuries and now, Tolley not really getting a chance to set himself up as a starter, you come down to one guy. And nobody's thinking beyond tonight, obviously, but if you start thinking about beyond tonight, it gets really dicey. But just get through tonight, right?
Right.
Yeah, they're talking about all in for each game, right? Like there is no tomorrow. You play for today, and then you figure it out. I will say this: there's a very interesting precedent that exists for the Red Sox in their not too recent, or rather not too distant postseason past. In 2021, against the Rays, they looked cooked because Nate Eovaldi had obviously started in the wild card game. They go to Eduardo Rodriguez in game 1 of the division series against the Rays. Boom, he's knocked out in the second inning. Next game, Chris Sale against the Rays. 5 runs in the first inning. Boom, he gets pulled. Red Sox looked dead in the water, and they ended up going to, at that point, it wasn't a starter, but Tanner Houck was the guy who, with very, very little major league experience, ended up kind of saving the day for them and emerging in a very big spot. This isn't without precedent, but man, it's a hard path to go.
JP, I sat with you Monday on the show, the workout show, and I said at the time, to me, one of the residual effects of the injury to Giolito isn't just that you have Early starting tonight, but it's that you didn't have Early last night. And last night might have set that bullpen up differently if you had a couple innings out of Connelly Early. I think Giolito's injury affected what Alex Cora could do last night.
Oh, 100%. Everybody gets moved up a notch. Everybody roles gets extended. Even if you look at Bayo last night, and I understand what Cora was doing. He was going for the kill last night. And, he went with a short leash with Bayo, and he thought his bullpen was lined up, which it was. Everybody did really well. It just, they came up a little short. But it puts you in a tough position for tonight. Like you said, you're starting a rookie where Giolito would have been starting, and you could have had a long guy last night like Early sitting there. I thought one thing that was telling last night was, Tolley comes out of the pen, and he threw nothing but fastballs. And that shows me that he didn't have much confidence in his secondary stuff. And if I was the Yankees and I'm sitting there and I got to face Tolley again, I think everybody should be sitting dead red. He kind of took away from what he can do. So, Cora's smart enough to maybe realize that. So I don't know if Tolley will be a guy that will be used tonight out of the pen. So that might take another guy off the table. But like you said, it's all hands on deck. I was sitting there watching the game last night saying, man, if the Red Sox do win this, and you can't get more than 3 innings out of your number 2 starter, how are you going to get through Game 7? But obviously that'll remain to be seen.
Yeah, it's a problem for another day. We Game 1 with Crochet on the mound, you didn't have Rice, you didn't have Chisholm, you didn't have McMahon in the starting lineup. You put them all in last night. Obviously, Chisholm made it clear after Game 1 that he was not happy not being in the starting lineup. Do you go with those guys tonight against a lefty, or do you go with some of those guys tonight? What do you think, Alex? What do you think the Yankees lineup looks like tonight?
Yeah, I think that they go with Chisholm and Rice certainly, and probably McMahon, because you need that highest level of execution. You want to have your highest quality defense, and then having Caballero as a weapon available is something that works really well. And Early's stuff works really well against both lefties and righties. He's not a big splits guy. I do think that he did a great job of deleting left-handers. He wiped them out pretty well, but he did a really good job against righties too. And the way that he's able to work to both sides of the zone with pitches that move in all directions, to all quadrants. JP, you'd have a better sense than I do of that, but I don't think that he's a huge splits guy, whereas Bayo is. So, So I would think that you would feel pretty comfortable, equally comfortable with lefties or righties in the lineup.
Yeah, I think you're going to see Rice in the lineup. I think you're going to see Chisholm in the lineup, and I think you're going to see Caballero at third base. I don't think they'll play McMahon tonight just because he hasn't been great all year. And Caballero gives him a little bit more speed, another right-handed bat. I don't think they want to be too left-handed, but, Rice, you can't walk away from the chance to hit a ball out of the park. You got to have that bat in the lineup at some point. So I think that's the way they're going to go tonight.
JP, we talked about it at the beginning, the Game 2 moves. We talked, and everybody's talking, right, about the Duran inability to make that catch on the Judge line drive. Rafaela's inability to drop the bunt. But then the Eaton hold with the play that Chisholm did a great job getting to the ball and saving a run. Should he have been sent? What was your reaction as you watched it? Were you surprised they held him on that play?
Yeah, I was very surprised because at that point, you're trying to push the envelope. You can actually go back to the game before. If they don't pitch to Bregman and they walk Bregman and they keep it a one-run game, the ball Chisholm hits, if you have a pinch runner for Goldschmidt at third base at that point, the ball Chisholm hits, that run scores, that's an entirely different game. So I think it goes back to the same thing last night. The Red Sox were in a position to push the envelope. They could have pushed the envelope and forced Ben Rice to have to make a throw on a ball that, was getting away from him. Eaton could flat out fly. So to me, I would have liked to have seen them push the envelope there, which shows you the little things that show up in these type of games. But I thought it was a little bit of a mistake.
Does the fact that Story was the one guy taking good swings behind him, does that how much should that factor into that decision-making calculus?
I think it's a reactionary play. I don't think you can think about all that stuff that fast when you're coaching third base, but you got to be thinking, I got a guy who can run. I got a guy who can go from point A to point B very quickly. If you watch the replay, he rounded third base really hard. Yeah. So if you just kept him going, he was never going to break stride. I would like to have seen Ben Rice, who's a catcher by trade, have to pick up the ball and make that throw because he would, A, had to get to the ball, 2, set his feet, and 3, make that throw. And you saw the night before, even Abreu on a shallow fly ball that Chisholm hits, if they send the runner, he's going to score. So when you've pushed the issue in a tight game, you never know how guys are going to react. But I would want an inexperienced Ben Rice having to make that throw.
I think we're going to get to a break here. I want to get into the Red Sox lineup tonight because now you get, for the first time, it's not a lefty starter, right? So now you get to change that lineup a little bit, and we'll dig into who's been doing what. So why don't we take a break right here and then continue with Alex Speier, JP Ricciardi on a live edition of 310 to Left, presented by your New England Ford dealers and F-Series, America's best-selling truck for 48 years and the official truck of the Boston Red Sox. Stay with us.
First question for Alex. We'll start here with Peter on the left.
Alex, what did you see with Bayo that made you want to take him out of the game at that point?
Yeah, I mean, it's a tough lineup. You know, a bunch of lefties. I thought the bats were getting better, you know, with the lefties, and we got a bunch of them in the bullpen, you know, and felt like at that point, kind of like we have to do this. It doesn't feel good, you know, because you want the kid to go out there and get his experience and pitch, you know, deep into the game. But I felt like at that moment we needed to pivot.
And that was a lot of pitches for Whitlock. Was that more than you intended to use him necessarily?
Yeah, but at that point we're all in, right? He's one of our best pitchers, you know. He just got up there, but we were doing everything possible to get to the top of the ninth with a tie game.
Chris, in the third row on the right.
With Brian, is that something you talked to him about before the game that you
No.
can, any sort of warning it could be
No.
shorter?
No.
And how do you think he took it in the moment?
The moment frustrating, I bet, but then I talked to him, hey, you just got to be ready for the next one. There's October baseball, there's different.
Okay. Now here, Jen on the left.
Just with Whitlock there, I think that the most pitches he's thrown all year, and I know you kind of were relying on him a lot there, but what did you kind of see in those final batters there?
They put good at bats. The walk to Jazz, I don't know where that pitch was, and then Wells put a good at bat, just hit it down the line, you know, and that happened. But it's one of those that at that point we were trying to win that game, you know, and it didn't happen.
You're going to go in the back to Duke.
Alex, on the broadcast, they seem to think that Nate could have scored when the ball gets away from Rice. What did you think?
That's their opinion, you know. I think it's easy from up there say that he should have could have scored. You know, they're not down there with us.
Yeah. On the left, Gabe.
Alex, what's your pitching plan for tomorrow?
Connelly's going to start. Yeah.
And how do you feel the bullpen will be tomorrow with regard to guys like Garrett?
We'll check with Whit, right? Get a lot of treatment and see where we at tomorrow. But the rest, they're in good shape.
Okay, stay back there with Jay, behind him.
You had Chapman warming up a couple times there in the 7th and 8th. Where did you envision bringing him in?
No, in the 7th, that's part of his routine.
Okay.
So he wasn't warming up. In the 8th, no, he was going to be. He was either up in the 9th or not bring him at all. You know, but that's part of his routine.
Okay, got it. Thanks.
Hey, Bill, here on the right.
How key was the defensive stop by Jazz Chisholm?
He saved 2 runs because JD scores on that one. Yeah. Great play.
Go ahead.
I mean, he hit it. I thought it went through, and then he dove for it. Yeah.
Okay, going to go here on the left to Ian.
Alex, just a couple plays. Sadon not being able to get the bunt down. Was he bunting on his own there?
We'll keep that one, you know, as a decision for the team. I don't want to tip my hand to them.
And also the fly ball Judge hit. It looked, at least off the bat, like kind of a routine play. What did you see with Caron there?
I didn't have a good angle, but, you know, if you asked him, you know, I saw the replay afterwards. He just missed it.
Behind you, Pete. You good, Pete? Okay. Anything else? One more here, Ian.
Just with early pitching, you know, how obviously a big spot for a 23-year-old. You know, what has he shown you this season?
He's poised throughout, very calm. Obviously, he's going to be loud here. 2 rookies, Game 3, wild card, Yankees, Red Sox. Imagine that. So, should be a fun night.
Connelly Early, we've talked about making his 5th major league start. Schlittler's got a little more experience, the kid from Walpole. And While he's never faced the Red Sox before, he did start against them for Northeastern back in 2020. And he, of the current roster, he did get Jaron Duran to fly out the center field guys. So we did our research on that. Let's talk about the Red Sox lineup here because they faced lefties the last two nights. Yoshida's 2 for 3 as a pinch hitter. Now you've got the chance if you're Alex Cora to twist the lineup, not just because you get to line it up against a righty, but also because some of the guys in your lineup are struggling. Alex, what does he do with the lineup tonight?
Yeah, I mean, getting Abreu and Yoshida in there, I think, does present a different look because this is a lineup that has been lacking thunder. We saw the one homer from Trevor Story, which was something of a landmark. It was really a question of, are they really going to be trying to make it through the postseason through an entire series just by manufacturing runs? So, Yoshida has been taking good swings, more of a line drive approach. Abreu does bring the threat of being able to drive it out of the park, but we have not seen that happen since he returned from the calf injury. It'll be very interesting to see the kinds of swings that they're able to take. But, the reality is that the Yankees have really handled Rob Refsnyder at the top of the lineup over these last couple of games, just really going very heavy on secondary stuff and using that in order to be able to control those tone-setting at-bats against him. So I do think that getting Jaron Duran back up in the leadoff spot gives the Red Sox a very different complexion. They are facing Schlittler for the first time, I guess, except Duran, so maybe that benefits him. Although I think that Schlittler was also throwing about 5 to 10 miles an hour less hard than he was now, so it was about 30 pounds lighter. So a little different, but I think that the Red Sox left-handed lineup is probably a more dynamic one.
And that's one of the stories, JP, right? I mean, say what you will about the Yankees. They've handled Refsnyder and Romy Gonzalez, right? The two sort of lefty weapons or weapons against lefties that Alex Cora's deployed all year. They were combined 0 for 12 in this series. Give the Yankees credit for getting the job done against those two.
And I like this lineup tonight. If you're going to have 4 left-handers in it, I think it's advantage Red Sox. The other thing is, you got a young kid on the mound for the Yankees. The one thing Early may have over Schlitter for the lineup is Schlitter's going to rely on his fastball more than maybe Early is. And I think with the left-handers in the lineup, you can lick fastball a little bit more against a young guy because he's going to want to get ahead of hitters a little bit early. So I think he's going to attack with his fastball a little bit more, maybe advantage to the left-handed hitters that the Red Sox have in the lineup.
Which is really what they like about Early, right, Alex? I mean, this is a guy who has shown you that he can come at you a number of different ways. We've seen the looks on opposing hitters as they go back to the dugouts after the strikeouts. I mean, he's got a really impressive rate. He's got the velocity, but, man, the secondary stuff is impressive.
Yeah, I mean, he's a different pitcher, right? He sits at 93. Schlittler is a guy who's going to be sitting more at 96, and we'll see if it's more sitting at 97, 98 with that extra juice of being in a postseason setting like this. Whereas the skill that Early has is his ability to subtract more than adding. He did get up to 97 in that first outing, which is as hard as he had ever thrown a pitch in his life. But it's the excellence of the changeup, the ability to land both the slider and the sweeper, expand the plate with the curveball. There are things that are moving all over the place when Early is pitching that make it really difficult to zone in on one specific area. So as long as he's in the strike zone, then he can be very effective.
The Yankees were incredibly aggressive against Bayo last night, right? That was part of it. I think it was 6 out of the first 8 batters swung at the first pitch. And he wasn't able to make that adjustment. JP, what do you think their approach is against Early tonight?
I think they're going to try to get Early deep in counts, which I think they're going to struggle with because unless this kid totally panics, the kid is always in the strike zone. So I think the advantage for him is going to be that he is in the strike zone. And if they get away from a little bit of that aggressiveness, they're going to really set themselves up for his knockout pitch, which is a changeup. And one thing you've noticed with a few of the Yankee hitters is they will expand the zone at times. So I think if this kid can throw strikes early in counts and then have the ability to expand the strike zone, I think he's got a lot more opportunity to get through this lineup than maybe we're giving him credit for. I think on the other hand, when you look at Schlittler, I think the Red Sox are going to be very aggressive early in the game because this kid is going to want to get ahead, and the best way he's going to get ahead is his fastball. And a big league hitter can turn around a jet liner. If it's 97, 98, and they know it's coming, they're going to time it. So I think those are some of the things that the scouting reports and breaking down film is going to show tonight.
Although the tricky part about Schlittler is that he has the looks of 3 different fastballs, right? Like this is how the game has evolved. Now, like it's so easy to, with all of the edgertronic stuff and everything, teach the necessary like changes in finger pressure or grip in order to be able to get to 4-seamer, 2-seamer, cutter. And Schlittler is able to rely on that power mix and be aggressive in the zone, but with pitches that have that little bit of differentiation in their movement patterns in a way that, I mean, we're looking at 2 guys who, even though they're just at the beginning of their big league careers, both running sub-3 ERAs in this first trial in the big leagues. Super impressive stuff from both of them.
Well, there's a lot to watch for tonight, no doubt about that. Go ahead, JP. Will you say something?
No, I was just going to say, I think it's easier to adjust a Schlittler, though, because a fastball, if you just eliminate everything else, then you're just looking zone. If it's up in the zone, you're going to lay off the fastball. If it's in the zone, you can hunt it. With Early, he could put in your head, I got 3 ways to come at you, and I could change speeds, which get your balance going off. The fastball is not going to get your balance going off. So it's going to be really interesting. Obviously, you're going to have to see which kid's has got a low heartbeat tonight.
JP, you've been involved in these over the course of your career as an executive in baseball. A winner take all for both teams. You know, it's rare. It's not, like I was saying earlier, it's not the same as being down by a game or up by a game, because there's always the possibility of another game. It ends tonight. Somebody goes home tonight. What happens today? Take me through the day. What are you doing as a baseball operation group? What how different is today? 8:00's a long ways from now. So what's everybody doing between now and then?
I think the biggest thing you could do, whether you're a manager, a coach, a player, or an executive, when you're around the team, as much as you're around the team, the best thing you can do is be the calming voice. You know, you go up to different guys, say, hey, have fun tonight. You know, listen, tomorrow's going to come up. The sun's going to come up tomorrow. It doesn't matter. Obviously, we want to win, but just be yourself. Be loosey-goosey. Play the way you've played all year. Let your natural ability take over. Let your instincts take over. You know, let's have some fun tonight. Let's be us against the world. And, you know, you go around, you talk to different guys. You have those private conversations. You know, then you go in, you sit down with the manager, you kind of get an idea of what his thoughts are. You know, if something goes awry, who he's going to bring out of the pen first. You make your suggestions. You actually had that conversation last night. You probably don't get back till about 3 a.m. But, you know, you just want to let these guys know that go out there and be yourself. We didn't get here because all of a sudden we put more pressure on ourselves. We trust your ability. We think we're as good as they are. Let's go out and let's show them what we're all about. And I think that's the best thing you could do in any form of leadership at this point right now. The players know what they're up against. You know, it means a lot when you go up to them and give them just a pat on the back and say, I got you. You're going to be all right tonight.
It can also be helpful to have voices that are able to kind of break the tension, right? When we talked to Nathaniel Lowe, Tom, he talked about the Red Sox Yankees series that happened in mid-September, and after the Red Sox lost the first 2 games of that series, you know, Low. I forget if it was after that second game or if it was before the third. He was like, we probably shouldn't play this one. We might actually want to just walk away from the season. I think it's over, guys. I think we're cooked. And like that, you know, and they ended up going out and winning that game. Like having people who were able to change just the tenor of it, and like when you are feeling kind of that welling pressure rising, being able to lower that a little bit just by shaking people out of the thoughts that they're having, like that can be a really wonderful attribute.
The humor there is that obviously it wasn't over if you lose. The problem is the joke's not funny tonight because it is over if you lose. You gotta lose that. That's not at all funny. Don't say that today. So Alex, you're there, boots on the ground, as we say. Who, in your mind, is better equipped to handle all of this going into Game 3? You've seen the mood in the clubhouse. You've watched the press conferences. We've watched, you know, every twitch of Alex Cora and Aaron Boone's eyes. Who's better equipped to handle the pressure? We'll see how it plays out, but who's better equipped going into this game tonight?
Honestly, I have no idea because I think there's great inexperience on the part of a lot of people being involved in this stage. But I think JP's point before we were on the air was a very interesting one, which was I think that Alex Cora is really well equipped to be able to manage whose heartbeat is going to match the moment here. And I do think that that is a really important part. Like he showed last night, he is not afraid to veer dramatically off script and take some huge risks in doing so. Like Nate Eovaldi for 97 pitches in Game 3 of the World Series in 2018, massive risk, but he was responsive to the set of circumstances that he was able to identify and put the Red Sox in a great position to be able to win the game, even though it didn't work out. So I do think that in terms of having that in-game adaptability and knowing when to pull the levers. I don't know. I think that is the one aspect of the game where that seems like there's a little bit of a predictable emotional component to it.
Last night was the first time they lost a potential clinching game under Alex Cora. He had been 5-0 in clinching opportunities. All right, stay there. We'll come back. One more break and then wrap things up here. Our live edition of 310 to Left presented by New England Ford continues after this. 310 to Left is presented by your New England Ford dealers who've been taking everyone out to the ball game at Fenway Park for decades. Catch Ford next time you're at Fenway, including in the Ford Clubhouse, a full-service bar perfect for bringing your lineup together and for recording our live edition of 310 to Left. It's all brought to you by your New England Ford dealers and F-Series, America's best-selling trucks for 48 years and the official truck of the Boston Red Sox.
It's going to be really fun. It's 1-1 now, so it comes down to this game, and I'm excited to get out there.
Alex just announced it. When he told you, what was that feeling like for you, and how excited are you about it?
Yeah, I'm super excited about it. Really good feeling and just ready to get out there.
When you get up to Fort Myers this year, could you ever imagine not only reaching the majors, but taking the ball to start a win-or-go-home game?
No, but I'm in that position now, so got to go out there and trust my stuff.
What did Alex tell you? What have you just watching these first two games here kind of learned about postseason baseball?
Yeah, it's electric. Really good games so far, and every pitch matters. So really competitive games and competitive ABs. So just got to go out there and do my thing.
When did Alex actually tell you were starting?
Alex didn't tell me, but Bales told me just about 2 minutes ago.
What was the reaction as a kid? Something you dream of as a kid?
100%. Yep.
What was the reaction when he told you? What was your initial reaction?
Let's go. Let's do it.
Yeah. Are there any nerves, anxiousness, excitement?
For sure, excitement. 100%.
Knowing that was a possibility, did you prepare mentally the last 48 hours, for you to get the go-ahead?
100%, yeah. I mean, I've stuck to all my preparation and feel pretty good, so ready to go out there and do it.
I know nothing compares to this, but what's the closest, highest stakes game you've pitched in before?
Probably in college. Super regionals, and then going out in the College World Series.
It's a long way from the Super Regionals to Yankee Stadium and a winner-take-all game, but he's got the confidence, no doubt about that. It is amazing that it has come down to this. Two guys within their first 15 Major League starts. Pitching for the future here. We were just talking about sort of what you go through today and how you get everybody ready. I think we all agreed that Cora gave this team an edge in the managing front coming in, and we certainly saw it in Game 1. Went all in Game 2 and almost pulled that off. How impressive is Alex Cora in the postseason to you, JP?
I think he's one of the best. I think this is going to probably be like a backhanded compliment, but when Cora is engaged, Cora's the best manager in baseball for me. He does the little things that most guys don't see and don't do, and that's because he was that type of player. I think tonight the advantage is the fact that he has more of a fluid roster. He'll pinch hit, he'll pinch run, he's got more options, and he's not going to be afraid to use them. I look at the Yankees, and I don't know how you guys feel, but I see tension over there. I see a lot of tightness. I don't see a lot of guys loosey-goosey. I mean, they erupt when they do something good, but there just seems to be a lot of tension when I look at the Yankee dugout, then I look at the Red Sox dugout, and I think that comes from the manager. And I think you and I talked about it last Monday. Cora does just a really good job in these situations, And, when it gets down to the little things, advantage manager is a big thing.
Although I will say that the tension would be resolved awfully quickly if, like, Stanton or Judge hits the ball 600 feet. So I do think that, you could also see that there was, like, that when Rice went deep in the first inning yesterday, right? Like there was this moment of release, but the tension did form back for them really, really quickly. And you see it with, like, the kind of, like, high wire that Fernando Cruz was riding, the explosive reaction to, like, barely avoiding giving up a grand slam to Trevor Story. It's incredibly interesting to watch this stage that kind of draws out these extreme emotional responses from people, and it's part of why these winner-take-all games are unbelievable to watch.
But doesn't it surprise you a little bit, JP? I mean, this team went to the World Series last year. 17 of 26 players on the Red Sox roster had never been in a postseason game prior to Tuesday. Like, shouldn't it be the other way? Shouldn't the experience of past playoff runs be an advantage for the Yankees in a game like this?
Great point, Tom. And I think it's definitely something you have to take into consideration. But the Red Sox have had a lot of success against the Yankees over the last few years. So in some ways, the worm has turned a little bit where they're figuring out, why can't we beat these guys? What do they have that we don't have? I really think it comes down to Cora's personality that permeates through the clubhouse. And these guys have a quiet confidence, a little bit of an arrogance, cockiness to them. And I don't think they're as stoked so much like the Yankees are. The Yankees, to me, I watch the body language, and I'm like, God, those guys look really, really tight. And I know you said last night they jumped out to a 2-0 lead, but the Red Sox answered. And then you can see it turn right back again. So I think if Early can get them through a couple of innings and they settle down, I think advantage Red Sox.
I do think that it's interesting to think about, like, the context of this. Like, the Yankees, if they don't make it back to the World Series this year, is a failure, right? Like, you're always looking to raise the bar, and so anytime that you fall short of the one that you just set, that represents a disappointment. So from that vantage point alone, like, the Red Sox have already kind of pushed past where they have been and are moving into territory where yes, they are striving, but, like, they're striving and still figuring out where their reach goes, as opposed to the Yankees where they're figuring out, we know how far it can go. Are we going to fail to reach it to get that far?
Yeah, there's also, and JP, I never let you get out of here without at least a little hockey talk, right? I do the Bean Pot every year, right? I've been doing the Bean Pot for 20 years. And about 10 years ago, we went through a stretch where the MVP of the Bean Pot in 4 or 5 years was a freshman. And I used to talk to the senior, ignorance is bliss. I mean, I've sort of made most of my career that way, but there's something to be said for not knowing the pressure, right? These guys went to the World Series last year and lost, to your point, Alex, right? It's somewhere in their deep subconscious, they know how it feels to lose in the playoffs. The Red Sox don't. They don't know anything about the playoffs. Like, JP, is there something to that? Can young guys maybe be a little freer and easier because they don't have the baggage of past experience?
I think so, but let's not forget, the kid on the mound tonight for the Red Sox, he went to West Point. If you've ever been to West Point, they don't just ease you in and your mommy and daddy move you in and make sure you got all your food and all of this. It's 100% rubber hits the road. And I don't think this kid's going to be as affected by what's happening around him as maybe some other guys. You go to West Point, you're a different cat. And I'm going to see that this kid, he's going to handle this pretty good. The big question is, can he get him a little deeper and shorten the bullpen?
Yeah, the question of the number of innings provided is a fascinating one. I've been asking myself as we've been having this discussion, like, what's the bare minimum of innings they need to get out of Connelly Early? Can they make it all fit if they get 5 innings, if they get 4 innings, if they get 3 2/3 innings? I don't know where that line is drawn, but it is gosh, like, can you really go back to Garrett Whitlock for more than, like, one batter tonight? I'm not sure. It is a very, very interesting game of three-dimensional chess that gets played right now.
The most pitches he has thrown this season. The second time he's gone 2 innings since the All-Star break. something he did regularly through May, but then they completely got away from. It is all fascinating, isn't it? I mean, there's so much unknown about this, and that's what makes this so great. It starts at 8 o'clock tonight. Our pregame coverage begins at 7 o'clock tonight on NESN. Plus, we get Bruins preseason action, again, coming back to hockey, over on NESN. All right, final 10 seconds each. Who wins Game 3 tonight? JP.
I think the Red Sox win. I told you earlier, if it gets to Game 3, I like the flexibility in the roster. I think Cora is a good manager. I think that's the difference.
Alex, who wins and why?
The great game of baseball wins. No, I'm kidding. I think that I think that the Yankees win. I think that, but I'm terrible at predictions. I'm wrong every time I make one. So there you go. I'm not even going to justify it.
I say Red Sox win. I don't have a reason other than on Monday I said Sox win in 3. So might as well make myself sound real smart. So we'll stick with that. JP, Alex, great stuff. We appreciate the visit. We'll talk soon. Thanks.
Good seeing you guys.
3:10 to left. Presented by your New England Ford dealers. Enjoy the game tonight. We'll see you on pregame coverage at 7.